Hi guys, thanks for tuning into another episode of Nuggets News. We are back with our weekly crypto news with Michael, who's head of all our written research over on the platform, coming to us live from one of his new villas in Bali. How's things, Michael?
Good, doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. It's pretty exciting. We're getting to that stage of the cycle where record highs and everyone's getting excited and that type of thing, so can't complain.
Happy all-time high to those that celebrate.
Exactly. Now, I know we've got a heap of news to get through today, so let's dive straight into it. But I was just reading that Bitcoin is now the fifth highest asset class of all time with gold, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Apple. So, man, this is crazy. I don't know if you remember some of those videos I did years and years ago talking about how eventually we're going to compete with these stocks. And if everything goes to plan, $1 million Bitcoin and it becomes the ultimate asset class, and we're really just ticking boxes.
It's crazy to see it here, 110,000, and it's not like a 100K milestone, but it's cool to see that it broke it again. I've had a few people text me and say, "Hey, what's going on with Bitcoin?" So it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, retail interest is still relatively low though on Google searches and stuff, but yeah, we're definitely starting to see interest peak. But where do you want to start with all this news?
Well, let's just dive in. Like, obviously, you posted the article during the week about the Solana name service, which we touched on last episode. I think this is very, very interesting. So, for those that have followed along or have already signed up to the platform, you'll be able to be pretty early on this one. And I think this one goes places. So, very, very interesting.
Yeah, as Michael
Um,
just mentioned, guys, this is one that I did actually add to my portfolio for the members there if you want to check it. And it's been, if anything, the last few years it's been culling alts and weighting heavier into the higher quality ones. So it is good that we are still finding some hidden gems worth investing in.
100%, and there's going to be more that pop up. But I just wanted to scroll up here on the platform as well because we do a weekly written write up as well on the platform. And Japan's been all the talk at the moment. Like they have obviously got a bit of a pickle. I know that there's been quite a few platforms that have already spoken about this, like Crypto Banter. So I'm not just going to rehash information that's already out there. But effectively, they're toast when it comes to like their bond market and obviously like what they're trying to do with inflation. They had a couple of days last week where there was no buyers on their bonds. So there's just going to be an obscene amount of money printing coming out of Japan. You know, the world's what are they? I think fourth largest economy now. I think Germany flipped them, but yeah, there's money printing coming because these guys are going to have to keep their currency afloat.
And Kyle and I did a
Um,
deep dive on this yesterday, guys, if you want to know more about this. And then we looked at the charts of the Japanese bonds and gold and Bitcoin, so tied it all together. If you want a deep dive on how the bond market collapse is actually now sort of in its death spiral stage for all financial markets. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like Bitcoin jumps to all-time high, and now I've purposely gone for these next couple of tabs with mainstream media tabs because I think this is really cool just to see that we are becoming very mainstream now. So CNBC talking about Bitcoin jumping to all-time high. Lots of hype around this, and it's just going to be more and more and more as we continue to take out those key levels of 120, 150, 200. Like it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen this week, but it's going to happen.
For sure.
Um, the Trump administration finally had a little crypto win here where they got the stablecoin bill through. This just effectively makes stablecoins just like as legitimate as you could possibly get. So I know there's always been, as long as I've been in crypto, this FUD around like Tether is going to one day implode and it will take the whole market down. Well, I think they just effectively got minted as the pseudo Fed because all of these stablecoins now have very clear guidelines on what they need to do, and it's now a regulated industry. And so, you can make what that where you will. Like, what do you think these tech companies are going to do now? Everyone's going to want a stable coin.
Yeah, and again, this is something we dived into a bit in yesterday's video that stablecoin issuers could become the largest holder of government bonds now, and we've already seen that. Even the decentralized ones like MakerDAO are starting to hold government bonds. And is this all just that ploy to make everything digital and then digital ID and then central bank digital currency? And that's the worrying thing.
It's very worrying. And so, but it's the irony of it. It's that the worrying side of it is probably what's going to pump our Bitcoin bags in the short term. But we all need to hold true to that ethos of why we got into blockchain in the first place. Outside of trying to make money, is that sovereignty and personal sovereignty.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, so the Aussie court had a ruling this week as well, and you actually flagged this one with me. So Australia is not wanting to miss out on this as well.
Yeah, well, this is, I did not see this coming or wasn't aware that this case was going on, but a judge ruling that Bitcoin is money and not property, and that could get rid of capital gains. And I'm not sure, I don't think with our, the way the Australian government's going, they're going to, backdate this or change anything. But even going forward, I'd imagine they'll try and fight it. But either way, this is a big win. So we'll see what comes of this, because that would be a dream for one of the countries that I think has got one of the highest percentage of people that own crypto in the world. If crypto profits were to become tax free, that would just be incredible.
I mean, depending on what footy code you're into, like whether you're AFL or NRL in Australia, I'm an AFL man myself, but like you can see all of them have got like Aussie crypto exchange advertising. Crypto.com is one of the major sponsors of the AFL, and you see like SwiftX is like really
Coin
big into the
spot,
NRL.
yep, yep,
CoinSpot, yeah, even Independent Reserve, I think sponsors the Sydney Swans.
yep.
So like we are a very like entrenched crypto country here.
Absolutely
Um,
love it.
Okay, so passing on again to the US. So the Texas House has passed their bill on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. So we haven't seen one from the federal, like US government, but all of the states, another one passed. There's been several of them now. So I mean, if the actual US government isn't going to start stacking Bitcoin, we can already see that some of the states are, and I think there's been about 6 or 7 of them now. So again, just another buyer into the market.
One thing I want to throw in there is that Moody's downgraded US debt, which is another sort of part of this death spiral on the bond market and for the banks and stuff. But Texas debt is actually now higher rated than US government debt. And I've been talking about how I expect to see the changes come from state and local level. So, you know, it's going to be like nobody wants to be first and nobody wants to be last. And so if Texas or, the countries that have got strategic reserves, the businesses that have got strategic reserves, they're going to start to outperform and not collapse when others around are going to collapse them. And then that creates that race to Bitcoin on all these different levels I've been talking about.
We talked about that in the last episode as well, about how Lugano in Switzerland has already passed Bitcoin as legal tender inside their canton. So again, you're exactly right. It'll just filter from the bottom and bubble its way to the surface.
You saw those crazy numbers on El Salvador's holdings. I think it was like 200 million or 400 million in profit now that he shared. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and he loving every minute of it as well. He gloats on it every chance he gets.
Yeah.
So now JP Morgan's getting in on the act as well. So they're going to allow all sorts of different stuff here too.
Yeah, and over the
Um,
years, we've sort of seen all these big bankers bash Bitcoin and start to scam. And one of the things I was saying is, watch what they're doing, not what they're saying. They're trying to drive the market as low as they could last cycle to accumulate. And then once they're happy with how much they've got their ETFs, and then they want to push it and profit off their investments and collecting fees. And here we are, this is allowing their large clients that see this collapse coming to exit bonds or whatever and get into Bitcoin.
I mean, it's a tale as old as time. Like one of my favorite movies, The Big Short. Like it's exactly what happened there. Like they just would not downgrade the bonds until they'd all acquired their own short position.
Yeah.
Um, Corruption at its core.
Yes.
Um, so we've had another really interesting one. So the rumor circulating that Ripple is acquiring Circle. So we know that like the stablecoin narrative is probably counterproductive to Ripple's narrative and XRP because they want it to be that ledger that all digital money would pass on to. So this would make perfect business sense from the Ripple organization that they would want, all these like stablecoin settlement layers and to take out the Swift empire. And so it would make sense that they would try something like this. Whether this is real or not remains to be seen, but very interesting rumor circulating.
Yeah, and again, over the years, it's sort of been my stance has been I don't think the banks are going to necessarily use XRP or whatever, but the current environment now is that the traditional banks and even the Fed, Trump might want to actually deliberately crash that system to relaunch this new system. So love or hate Ripple if you think it's centralized, decentralized, whatever. This is kind of the tailwinds and everything has changed. The conditions have changed now. So I'm still not sure how I feel about if they require it and if it's going to be a part of this push towards the CBDC. But yeah, this is big news for Ripple if this ends up being true.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll flag my like bias here. Like, I don't love the idea of a world where Ripple, like, everything runs on Ripple. The decentralization maximalist in me doesn't love that. But am I gonna like try and trade it and benefit from it and use it? Absolutely. Am I gonna put my next wealth, my net worth in XRP? Probably not. But yeah, like it's still a bullish talking point, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've got a small position in XRP and Stellar in my portfolio just in case this does play out. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. CME launches XRP futures. So, I mean, we know that these are the precursors for an actual spot ETF launching. And so I'd say that this is probably one of the best candidates along with Solana for the next actual spot ETF. I know that there's filings that have been put in for a bunch of other tokens, including like Polkadot. I think there was a HBAR one that went in, Litecoin. So there could be a couple of really interesting plays here, but this was always one of the sort of hurdles that had to be crossed. And, 90 million on its first day shows that people still want to trade it, just like we talked about.
Yeah, and all these coins that were ISO compliant with these new banking standards, if they're ushering in this new banking system and all that type of thing, that all ties into this as well. Along with that narrative we've been talking about, being heavy weighted in the higher cap coins and culling lower cap altcoins this cycle has been the play because they're going to get these products for the big investors to put money in safely.
Yeah, I think everyone remembers the last part of the parabolic cycles where you get like pretty much everything go up, but that is really the last part of the cycle. And so, yeah, you're going to miss out on a lot of blue chip like gains if you're really just sort of trench diving, trying to get your 100x. It's like people just need to have a little bit more patience and like realize that we've got revolutionary tech right here and you can profit from it if you just maybe lower your appetite a little bit and don't listen to these 50x in 2 day type sort of claims that exist on the line. But there's real money to be made just by looking for value investment.
Yeah.
So Solana continues to push. We do feel like they're pretty blue chips now. And this is the new one that they're coming out with, the second iteration of their phone, which I think is about to launch next month or August. I think that the phone itself, from a hardware perspective, is pretty subpar. Like it's not like it's an Android-based phone. It's not like it doesn't compete with like the Samsung S series or anything like that. It's sort of that mid-range phone. But all of its deep crypto integrations make it interesting, and the airdrops that come along with it. So the first one got savaged a little bit. I think it was mainly one meme coin, which it's escaping me which one it was right now, that sort of pumped its sales. But I'll be paying attention here because this is like real world implications in everyday lives because we all are addicted to our phones. And if Solana can sort of break this market, it'd be very interesting because we see Sui's doing it with the handheld gaming sector now, like kind of like the Nintendo Switch-esque sort of hardware. So we'll see what these foundations want to come out with. But yeah, interesting to watch the space.
Yeah, Jason, who's on the team, is big on the Solana phones and the airdrops and everything, basically, as in they're going to pay for themselves kind of thing. So definitely get one.
The last one absolutely paid for itself. So if you can play the patience game and you're not trying to, flip trench coins on the day, then absolutely these things pay for themselves. Yeah. Voltisig, so integrating MoonPay. So this is really cool because it means you can just go straight into fiat, straight into the wallet. And this is something that you've always been super bullish on. And I guess the team.
Voltisig, they keep pushing back their token launch because they were meant to launch on Kraken and they had some issues. I'm not sure if that was to do with that, like wash trading, because they're trying to be fully decentralized. So saying, hey, we're not going to censor anything. We now have these more pro crypto legislation. So maybe this is more palatable now. But either way, buying through Google Pay, Apple Pay, credit card, all that sort of thing. And this is also what we saw X First Wallet on Stacks do the other day. So it's just awesome to see these main new cool wallets that are really great to use now. The interfaces have come such a long way, integrating to onboard retail for this last part of the cycle.
If people could go back in time and see what UI UXs were like in 2017, you'd be amazed how far we've come. And you'd be shocked that this industry ever got anywhere.
Yes.
So Stacks also releasing an update here on their light paper. This is another one that you flagged with me. Super interesting developments going on here.
Yeah, so they've increasing the SBTC cap, and they've sort of marked a few other milestones they want to get to, and that's Stacks Asia team trying to get to 21,000 SBTC locked up, and then this new light paper that's due to drop any day now with the new narratives and what they're looking to do. But it's basically make Stacks BTC fully custodial while it's in your own wallet and better to use for layer 2 payments and optimizing contracts and all that sort of thing. So we're sort of trying to bring this world of smart contracts to the world of Bitcoin via Stacks, the leading Bitcoin layer 2. So awesome to see Stacks just continuing to kick goals.
Yeah, solid product. And I think as well that Bitcoin L2 narrative is going to push hard once Bitcoin starts getting incredibly expensive. People will start looking at where the value is, but not wanting to leave the Bitcoin ecosystem too far. So it'll have its day. Absolutely. It's gonna have its time to shine. Um, I'd just like to finish up like on these episodes with like something that I've been paying attention to. And so I guess my little value dive this week is hydration. So this is a DEX that has its own app chain. Um, what I'm finding interesting here is that they've implemented the ability to trade tokens from a wide variety of ecosystems. So they're built on Substrate, but you can trade ETH, wrapped Bitcoin, Solana, DOT, stablecoins, and a whole bunch of other tokens all in the one, all on the one platform, and you can connect with the multiple different types of wallets. What's interesting is that they have like a really small FDV. HDX is the actual ticker. I think their FDV is like 50 million, but they've got like 200 million in TVL, and it's up almost 100% in the last couple of weeks. But they just integrated this really interesting or you can take a token, and they're calling this Gigadot here. So they've done it with Polkadot first. You take Dot, you take the liquid version of Dot, and so it's staked. You're earning staking rewards. Then you also put that into the DEX, and so it's also earning trading fees. And then they reissue it as Gigadot, which you're earning all of this yield and staking rewards on. But it can still then be used as collateral in DeFi. So it's like layer upon layer upon layer of these DeFi Legos. And so we're at that part of the cycle now, but these guys have got a pretty good track record of shipping. They've been around for a long time, and they've flagged that they could have something like this with ETH, Giga ETH, and Giga Sol coming as well. So just an interesting one that I'm watching. And these are the types of the projects that we go looking for as for that part of your portfolio. We're looking for larger upside. And so, yeah, just one that everyone should pay attention to. I really like what they're doing. They're a really solid team. I've had a chance to meet them.
Yeah, cool. I think Michael's dropping out
Like
a little bit.
cross-chain platforms. We are going to try and integrate that later.
Oh, you're back. I was going to say dropping out a little bit, but this is definitely for the more advanced users when you can start to build these Legos and get yield on yield. But we know that it doesn't last. Those yields will always come down eventually. But okay, that's another good one to finish on.
No worries. I don't know if you still got me there, but yeah, essentially, we keep looking for these opportunities. These are not the things that you stick your entire net worth into, but absolutely you look for those sort of parts of your portfolio where you can maximize.
Awesome. All right, mate. Appreciate all that news as always, guys. And head over to nuggetsnews.com.au to sign up for our free newsletter or all our research and also our VIP monthly call first Tuesday of every month for our high net worth investors. And Michael, I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers, guys.